Let's bring you the big news of the day, and that comes in from a Congress insider. This also possibly a big loss for the Congress now. Over the erstwhile Manmohan Singh government's muted response to Pakistan-sponsored 26/11 terror attacks in 2008. This has come from former Union Minister in Manmohan Singh's government, who's also a Congress senior leader, Manish Tewari. He has written a book and appears to have indicted the former government for being soft and showing restraint in responding to Pakistani terror. He has said, Manmohan Singh-led UPA government's restraint appeared to be weakness. Tewari is adding, hundreds of innocents were brutally killed, yet no action was taken by the then Manmohan Singh government. He's adding that there comes a time when actions must speak louder than words, and 26/11 was just one such time. Adding that restraint is not always a sign of strength and can be perceived as a symbol of weakness. Tewari's comment reflecting these remarks, remember, by former Air Chief Marshal Falihomi Major, who had said that the Indian Air Force was prepared, if required, for any retaliatory strike against Pakistan. But it was the Manmohan Singh government that never gave an order.
जो बात उन्होंने अपनी पुस्तक में कही है, इस पुस्तक के कुछ भाग मीडिया में हम सभी ने देखे हैं, और ये कहना गलत नहीं होगा कि जो तथ्य सामने आए हैं इसको कांग्रेस की विफलता का कबूलनामा कहना ही उपयुक्त होगा। आज स्पष्ट हो गया ये तथ्य, ये बात कि कांग्रेस की जो सरकार थी वो निठल्ली निकम्मी थी, लेकिन राष्ट्र सुरक्षा जैसे मुद्दे पर भारत की अखंडता की भी उनको चिंता नहीं थी। आज कांग्रेस शासन में पूर्व केंद्र मंत्री मनीष तिवारी जी ने स्वीकारा है, कबूल लिया है कि उनकी सरकार ने राष्ट्र सुरक्षा को दांव पर लगा दिया। सोनिया गांधी जी, हमारा प्रश्न है आपसे, ये अनुमति और खुली छूट भारत की वीर सेना को क्यों नहीं दी गई?
Book has not been released, so there's nothing much to say about it. Let the book be released. Let our leadership decide on that. But it's very sad कि if someone is saying, if the BJP is accusing or some other person within the party is also accusing, it's really sad.
BJP has attacked saying that when 26/11 was happening, Gaurav Bhatia has said that Rahul Gandhi, Congress leader, was partying. And at the same time, they're also attacking that why the Congress leadership was silent.
It's, again, I would say, that this is sad part of democracy. People say whatever they feel like. But what I would like to mention here is that while the Pulwama was happening, where was the Prime Minister, the then Prime Minister? What was he doing? Was he not shooting for one of the channels? So, accusing anybody is a very simple thing. But one should look into their things as well.
Well, a lot of people are saying disciplinary action should be taken against Mr. Tewari, who comes from G23 group.
Let the party decide on that. I'm not the right person to comment on that.
Right. Let's go across to Paulomi Saha, tracking all the latest on that. Paulomi, the Bharatiya Janata Party will expectedly and has already jumped in. Do you see this becoming a big flashpoint in the upcoming winter session of the Parliament as well?
Well, definitely the BJP will be cashing in on this, because this is one of their own, as far as the Congress party is concerned, who's basically criticized the UPA government's policy in the wake of the 26/11/2008 Mumbai terror attacks, who says that it should have been actioned with a kinetic reaction to what happened. And unfortunately, he says that restraint is not the formula to follow every time. It's not a sign of strength. It can sometimes be a symbol of weakness. So he has criticized his own government's policy policy in the wake of 26/11/2008, and that is exactly what the BJP is now questioning the Congress, saying that it is one of your own, and this is his summation of what happened in 2008. Of course, the Congress is dismissing it and saying that this is his personal view, but given the fact that Mr. Tewari's book is coming in on December 2nd, expect that there will be more revelations which are to be made in that book, where he could possibly go into detail. We've only seen an excerpt of his book. There could be many more details where he could be possibly challenging the national security policy of the government then and now, and it is likely to keep the pot boiling.
Oh, absolutely. And definitely there could be many more such revelations. But for now, remember, Manish Tewari himself hasn't said anything. These are claims that have come in. Paulomi Saha bringing us how the BJP has jumped into this face-off. But let me help you understand why this has become UPA versus NDA, which is the incumbent government. Take a look at this. 2008, we all know 26/11 Mumbai terror attack. 171 people had lost life in different locations across Mumbai. The government back then was UPA, led by the Congress party. As it appeared, there was no direct offensive action against Pakistan on ground. In 2016, remember the Uri terror attack in Jammu and Kashmir? Casualty was about 23. Then the NDA government, led by the BJP, and the surgical strike that took place on Pakistan that we are all aware of now. In 2013, Srinagar terror attack, 8 soldiers of the CRPF, remember, had lost their life. The government back then was the UPA, again as it appeared that there was no direct offensive action against Pakistan. But compare that to 2019 Pulwama terror attack, horrific incident in South Kashmir where 46 CRPF Jawans had lost their life. Government then was NDA, led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the BJP. The action, it appeared, as an airstrike on Pakistan that we now know as the Balakot strike as well. So this is why the comparison has now become, and why the BJP is also jumping into these claims. But while this is a political face-off, what are the soldiers saying? We want to take you back a little. Air Chief Marshal retired. Fali Home Major was the air chief in 2008 when 26/11 terror attacks had taken place. And in an exclusive interview in 2019, he spoke to India Today's executive editor Shiv Arur and had told him that he had conveyed it directly to the government that the Indian Air Force is prepared, if required, for any retaliatory action. But the government, led by Dr. Manmohan Singh at that point, did not give any order.
So when you were the air chief and you had prescribed it, for whatever decision, taking into consideration the circumstances, it was decided that air power would not be applied, even though you had presented the option and there were targets to our understanding. We journalists also heard about it at the time. There were targets that could have been struck. What has changed now, sir?
The main thing is the political will to undertake an airstrike, and this is my guess, but I think I would be right, that perhaps our intelligence gathering, all kinds of intelligence collection has improved, and we are sure of targets to use air power so that to avoid collateral damage. And air power, when used under such circumstances, though a small tactical action like this has a huge strategic effect, and we should never ever hesitate to use air power in any such operation, provided you have a lucrative target available.
So why possibly did the UPA government, led by the Congress party, not take direct action? Now remember, these are different inferences that have come through experts as well, and what the political developments at that point was. There was an option, clearly, for strikes on the Lashkar-e-Toiba and in different parts in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. But why it was possibly discarded? Because there were no covert assets as then, as it appeared in Pakistan. But importantly, there was a possible risk, and that could have been of our forces, our personnel who may have got captured. And that operation, therefore, was never taken. Limited airstrike option on Pakistan-occupied Kashmir's terror camps, that was done eventually in the NDA government. But why was that option discarded during the UPA? According to some experts, no information on precise location of terror camps. That is what the information that had come earlier. Why and how did it happen later? Well, that only perhaps the soldiers and the ones in power can actually tell us. But there was these two differences that had come, that there were always options, including an airstrike by the Indian Air Force during the after the terror attacks in Mumbai as well. Why that was also discarded? No precise location of the terror camps was known at that point. So these are different options available. That was then with the EUP as well. Interestingly, remember the helicopter gunship raid, an option. Precise location again was not known. How did these precise locations come to be known at this point? How was those surgical strikes then carried out? A limited war confined to Jammu and Kashmir, clearly at that point, but the fear that it may escalate into a full-fledged war. This was one of the big reasons that it could have been discarded, that these airstrikes, what if it leads to a big full-blown war?